At this place in history, we're here in Bellows Falls on a very windy day with the Executive Director of the Vermont Historical Society, Steve Perkins. This says Bellows Falls Canal. I didn't know there was a canal in Vermont.
There is. Well, there's a number of canals in Vermont, but this was one of the first canals built even in the United States, which is, I think it's really cool. I think a lot of people don't know it's here, but we need to move over to the bridge so we can actually look down on the canal and we can talk about it a little bit more.
Okay, let's go. So I guess my first question, maybe an obvious one, why is there a canal in the Connecticut River?
So we have to go back to the name Bellows Falls. And so the village was originally named Great Falls. So on the Connecticut River, there's a 52-foot falls right here, which is a good place to put a village. You have water power and whatnot. But soon you figured out boats need to get around that. So in 1791, a group of English investors decided they were going to make the Connecticut River navigable from 250 miles from the coast. So that meant up through what's now Vermont. So they started a canal here in 1791. Like I said, one of the first in the United States. It took them over 10 years to complete the canal.
Whoa.
So the first boat didn't go through it until 1802.
What would it have looked like?
So similar to what we're looking at today, it was a little narrower. It was only about 4 to 6 feet deep. It took small canal boats. It had 9 locks, which allowed the boats to go down or up that elevation through the Connecticut River. Over time, it widened to take larger boats, but really by the 1840s, people weren't using the canal. They weren't traveling by the river anymore.
How were they traveling?
By train. We think a lot about Bellows Falls now related to train traffic, and there certainly was a lot of commerce on this side of Vermont, but the train was much more efficient than the river ever could be. At that point, the river was used much more for water power, and so the falls that were part of the locks were used to power paper factories. And Bellows Falls really became known as a center for paper manufacturing here in Vermont. Now by the 1920s, 1930s, less and less used. Electricity was used instead in the factories. So the canal was converted over fully into a hydroelectric project. So the locks aren't here anymore. There's a hydroelectric dam that makes power.
We're locking it in Bellows Falls at this place in history.